audio. So again, like I said, if anything comes up, just let me know.
Cool.
I'll take it out.
Don't even trip. Microphone check.
All right, Tim. So we've known each other for quite a bit. We've met through kind of the entertainment, really, on my part,
Yeah.
and then yourself, bartending and the services you offer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about you, what you do?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Let's see. I started in the nightlife right when I was 21 years old, man. I started as a security officer for the casino, and then I kind of took an interest in bartending, just watching the guys, you know what I mean? So by 24, 25 years old, I was learning all the ropes on how to bartend. And in the beginning, dude, I fell on deaf ears, you know? I couldn't get a gig anywhere as a bartender. But then nature kind of started taking its course, and I started bartending around different spots, man. And the last 6-7 years, bro, it's been really good for me. I work at different bars across town. Right now, I'm at McMurphy's in Noriega's, and in my spare time, I do a lot of private events, dude. Weddings, quinces, car shows, you name it.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out where to go from here. As far as the bartending, like in anything that we've done, at least I've noticed in entertainment, someone gives you a chance.
Yeah,
So you said someone gave you that opportunity.
absolutely.
Who was that person, or what was that situation like?
It was my homegirl Valerie, and she was looking for a part-time bartender, and I told her that I had been trying to be a bartender, as far as, you know, steering away from my other type of gigs. And she was like, you know what, Tim, come in, let's take a chance on you, and let's do it. And I've been rock and roll ever since she did that, man. You know, kind of started off slow, you know, working here and there on slow nights, and then I started working Fridays and Saturday nights for her. And shout out to my homegirl Valerie for taking a chance on me. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been rocking and rolling ever since. And then she was the one who actually hired me for my first bartending gig. Yeah.
Now, was she coaching you on bartending, or did you already start like gaining your knowledge?
I already had a knack for it, you know, kind of like watching the dudes from the casino. And but right when I got there, she gave me a little tutorial on everything. And then there was another bartender that worked there. Her name was Maggie. She kind of helped me also. And you know what I used to do, Iceberg? I used to on a piece of paper write all the drinks in my back pocket, because when you get behind the bar, everything you know, and you first start doing it, you forget everything. You don't know shit. So every time somebody would be like, can I get an adios? Can I get a Long Island? I'd be like, sure, hold on, let me go make sure I have everything in the back. And I would take out my fucking piece of paper and look real quick to see what went in those drinks. First time I've ever shared that.
And I think everybody kind of does that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have no other choice.
I didn't know nothing.
Well, I think it was better that you thought about how you were going to present yourself if you didn't know. So
Yeah.
you kind of took the time to like, hey, I'm going to go do it this way, versus someone just sit there and be like, because I've had bartenders tell me, I don't know how to make that.
Yeah.
And they just leave it at that. They like pick something. They don't go like, oh, let me check my Google. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't, even as a customer, I don't care. I just want the drink I want.
Absolutely.
Maybe some people would be mad that they don't have the knowledge of the drinks that they like or whatever. But for me, it's more just like, just look it up, bro. Like
Straight up.
just look it up. I can wait. I'm not in a hurry.
I do the smooth lie. Let me go see if we have that product in the back.
Every time I hear you say that now, I'm gonna be like,
For real,
you don't know how to make that shit. So, what would you say about people who get into bartending and didn't like it? Would you say that it's likely just the spot? It's likely the training? What are the downfalls of people who get into bartending?
From my experience, I can tell you exactly what it is. Drinks are the easy part, man. You got to have the patience to do it. You know, you're more than a bartender. You know, for a lot of people that come off of work, you're kind of like a therapist, a sports coach. You're everything. You're all of the above while you're making drinks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And with that comes all the bubbly personalities, all the drunk personalities. a couple of knuckleheads here and there. You have to have the patience. I think having the patience behind the bar to deal with that many personalities in like one day or one shift, is usually, the tipping point. You either have it or you don't. Like making drinks and doing the whole vibe of bartending and mixing that's the fun part. That's the easy part. You got to have the patience to deal with all those personalities and treat them the right way.
Do you think speaking from my perspective, I know as a social worker, you're dealing with a group of people who they're in that situation for a reason, and so they're going to have similar characteristics because they're not, I don't like the same thing, but they're in the same kind of situation. And I've had other social workers talk about those people kind of in a burnt out way, like they already know what they're going to do, and so they're kind of burnt out. And for me, I always try to look at it as that's just that person's personality, and instead of thinking of it as like a stereotype or burnt out about the situation, I more looked at it as like I'm just more aware of these personalities. And when I'm in communication with these people or present with these people, I need to be thoughtful of how they perceive things or how they do things. And do you think some people who quit bartending are just burnt out rather than looking at like, hey, this is this guy's personality, I'm going to have to cut him off at this point, or I'm going to have to take these steps as I go because I'm aware of like how this is going? I
believe so. I think you hit it right on the money, man. I think people do get a little burnt out as far as, dealing repetitive, the same customer service over and over. It's always, you have regulars, is what we call it in the bar world. And I think a lot of people kind of get a little bit flabbergasted by dealing with those same regulars every day. And they do take that route, as that you were saying. Yeah.
One of my most interesting experiences drinking was a night I was in college. First came out here for college. I went to CCB, and I was renting a room from a guy who worked for the railroad.
Good stuff.
And one of the other roommates there, he was a veteran, so he invited me out for Veterans Day, and he was like, dude, it's the best thing ever. People buy you drinks and stuff. Yeah. I was like, all right, so I'll go with him, and he's gonna get drunk, and I'm gonna hang out and drink too. But I went up to the bar to order a round for the table, right? So I walk up and I order, I think it was like 6 Jaeger bombs. I ordered 6 Jaeger bombs. I'm standing there, and this guy next to me, he had ordered the same thing apparently, because when my drinks came up, she put 6 Jaeger bombs, and he went to grab them, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm grabbing my drinks. I was like, you ordered 6 Jaeger bombs?
Wow.
And he goes, I ordered 4. I was like, well, these are 6 and these are my 6.
Yeah.
And so I think he went to get it again. I smacked his hand, and in the moment I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just more like thrown off of like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like she pushed him towards me. I'm trying to grab him, and you're like, so I slapped his hand. When I turned to him, he's like a foot bigger. He's like a foot bigger than me. Just
those are my Jaeger bombs.
Corn-fed dude, bro. Corn-fed like a motherfucker. And so I turn and look at him. I grab the drinks and I go to like churn. When I'm churning, all of a sudden I see his body shift against the wall, and the waitress, the bartender, the chick, had her elbows out and she pinned him against the wall. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Security comes, they grab him, they take him out. I go put my drinks on the table. They come get me and take me out. And I'm like, hey, what did I do? They were like, oh, you guys were having an argument. I was like, nah, he was trying to grab my drinks, and then he was tripping. They're like, well, they said that you guys were going to fight. I was like, what are you talking about? So she comes out, and she goes, no, he was grabbing his drinks. He tried to take his drinks, and the guy was going to sucker punch him. And so she saw that he was going to sucker punch me, and she brushed that fool against the wall.
Okay.
And so I was like, dude, that dude would have knocked me the fuck out, bro.
I'm still stuck that the chick bartender pinned him. Yeah, you said he was cornbread fed.
She had a whole technique, dude. She had one foot planted back and the other one forward, and then she just leaned forward with her elbows around his body. Like, she didn't grab him, she elbowed like that. And I was just kind of like, she's done this before.
Hell yeah.
And so I was just like, what the fuck? And I went back to my table, and I was like, what? And then I was thinking like, oh, they kicked that fool out. Yeah. No, he comes back in, and then he comes over and he apologizes. He's like, hey, bro, I thought they were my drinks. And I mean, I'm a hard-headed fool. So I'm like, you ordered 6 Jaeger bombs? He's like, no, I ordered 4. I was like, okay, well, those were 6, so they're not your drinks, bro. Don't be grabbing people's fucking drinks. I was still fucking
you couldn't help it, huh?
I couldn't help but say fuck
petty
it.
Ass. But I love it.
But you know, she was experienced enough, you know, unless he had his hand up in the air, like I don't know, but she freaking
She saw it right away.
She saw it.
Good
she
for
saw
her.
that shit.
I don't even know her. I'm turned on already. It's awesome.
short chick over on Callaway. I forgot what bar it was.
Oh, okay.
But
I never really venture out that far.
Oh, this guy wanted to go there for drinking. He liked that spot.
Yeah.
That night, I'll kind of go off on the story. So that night, that veteran dude, I remember he goes, "Let's go." So I was like, "All right." And he's like, "Who's driving?" And he goes, I'll drive." So I was like, "Okay." So we jump in the car, and then I wake up in my bed, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I don't even remember getting home."
Dude.
So I walk over to the kitchen, and as I'm walking to the kitchen, I see out the window that dude's car or his truck is parked across the street.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird. Like, if I'm drunk, I'm not gonna park across the street because it's gonna be hard to get to my house. So
Straight up.
I was like, was there a party last night? I was like, damn, there's all kinds of shit going on, and I'm not even aware. And so I'm making my breakfast, and he comes downstairs, and he's like, "Yeah, that was wild, man." And I was like, dude, I don't remember getting home. I was like, I had too much. I don't remember coming home. And then he's like, "Nah, man, it was fucking crazy." He's like, I kind of blacked out, but there's a few things I remember now. I was like, "What happened?" He's like, well, let's go see my truck.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. So I go and I see that his oil pan is busted. There's like oil down there.
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, "Yeah, we busted the oil pan last night." And he's, "I'll take a look inside." I open the door. His inside of his car is like trashed, bro. Just trashed. All the seats are pulled up a little bit. All his CDs are broken on the ground. And I was like, what the fuck happened? He's like, "Bro, I have no idea, man." He's
You
like,
guys had a hotel party in the fucking car?
so what he was able to recall for the rest of the day, which I don't recall any of it.
Yeah.
But he recalls, he said that, so where we were living at, we take Callaway, and if you go all the way to Harris, that's where we lived, you know, one turn, you know, from getting onto Callaway and then go all the way straight down to Harris. That's all you had to do to get where we lived at. Well, he said we ended up in a field, and that we were running out of gas, and he was like trying to figure out like how he got lost. And I kept telling him, like, dude, we have to hit something eventually. Like, there has to be like a gas station or a main road. And then I think our phones were dead.
Damn.
And so he said he just kept straight, right? He's like, "I'm just gonna go straight." And so he kept going straight, and then he said he saw like a shell like way in the distance, and that he ran out of gas.
Fucking mirage.
He said we hit a crazy ass dip, and then he ran out of gas, and then that I was passed out, just hella passed out. He's a little dude, and so he was like, he's like, get up, help me. And I was like, you know, just fucked up, you know, just sleep. And then eventually he goes, "Bro, I'm just asking you, help me push this car to the gas station, and you can sleep all you want." You know, he's all frustrated and shit.
Yeah.
You know? And so he says, I just go, "Ugh," and I get up. I go to the back of the truck. I push it to the gas station. I get back in the seat and I knock it back out.
Fuck.
He said I pushed it all by myself, all fucked up.
Hell yeah.
He's just,
superhuman strength because you're faded.
And he just drove it into the gas station.
Dude. That's wild, man.
He had crazy problems after that. I think his car didn't want to work. Yeah. So he had to figure out a way to like get some money so he can pay for it. He said it was all fucked up, but he doesn't remember how the car got trashed. Yeah. And, yeah, we were hella fucked up.
I've been there, man. I've been there a couple times. I wish I can say I haven't, but I have. You're just catching me coming off of my bachelor party weekend, bro.
I see the pictures.
I didn't realize that when we scheduled this that I was going to be coming off bachelor weekend. So this whole weekend, I took the whole weekend off from the bars, and I've pretty much been plastered since about Friday, 9 p.m., dude.
Damn.
And so I recovered yesterday, and then just this morning, I was like, dude, I don't even remember walking through my door. Like, just how you were saying, you didn't remember, you blacked out. And I was like, I went to go check the car to make sure I was parked okay. You know what I mean? Check my phone, check my wallet. And then, sure enough, my lady sends me a selfie, all drunk, all passed out, socks all took off, 4 chicks taking a selfie with me. And I was like, well, fuck, at least it fucking looks like it was cool.
I got a story for you of that's not, you're saying that it's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Girls, there's just some girls taking pictures of
Yeah.
them, you know, passed out.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Nothing like humiliating or
No.
weird. So let me tell you one.
I probably would have let him do it anyway.
Let me tell you a couple things that happened to me bad. Or one time I was drinking with a friend in Mexico, and he was an English teacher in Mexico, but he was from here. And so we were drinking, and this guy, he he was alcoholic. If you knew him, his routine was Friday he'd get his motorcycle back from the shop. By Sunday he was taking it back to the shop because he crashed it.
Oh,
Drunk. And so me and this fool were drinking one night, and we're at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And I remember I was getting pretty plastered, and I was gonna like start walking home because I only lived a few blocks away. And I think they were just like, dude, just fucking crash out, and then when you get up, just go home.
Yeah. Fuck
So I was like, all right, cool, that's cool with me. So I go into the friend's sister's bedroom where they tell me to go sleep. So I go and lay down in there, and then I wake up, and there's this dude shoulder to shoulder with me. And I'm looking over. I'm face down. He's face up. And I'm looking at him from to my left, and he's like, he like wakes up. And he's like, bro, you were fucking wasted last night. I was like, fool, you're here laying down next to me. He's like, yeah, I got fucked up too, but you got fucked up first. He's like, you're lucky nobody raped you, fool. I was like, man, fuck you, fool. Why you gotta go there?
Yeah,
why you gotta go there? And so he's like, man. He's like, I'm hungover. I was like, me too. I was like, let's just drink again, then fuck it. Go get some tomatoes, some clamato.
That's the
and
best
some beer.
cure, bro.
And so he's like, you go. And I was like, bro, I'm fucked up. I can't walk right now. I was like, how about I give you $10 and you go get what you're gonna get? And he's like, all right. So I give him $10. He goes, or whatever amount. And he goes. And
just two guys hungover in the sister's bedroom.
Yeah, the friends and everybody's still asleep, right? Yeah. Everybody's still asleep, and so. I think he goes and gets the beer, and then he comes back into the room with my friend's dad.
Oh shit!
And then he's like they're like laughing at me. They're like, oh, he's like, hey, and he's trying to tell him how I could have got raped or some shit. He just keeps busting my balls about passing out. And so I'm like, all right. I was like, I'll be up right now, man. I was like, hey, did you get any like I forgot what it was, but something for the beer, whether it be like salt or something. And I was like, hey, did you get it? He's like, nah. He's like, I'll be back. I'll go back to the store. I was like, all right, I'll get up right now. So I just get up and I walk out. I'm talking to the friend's dad, and we're bullshitting. And the friend's dad's kind of like, he's like, oh, he's busting your balls, bro. And I was like, yeah, he's talking a lot of shit. And he's like, yeah, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of like, all right, like whatever, just kind of, it was a subtle, he doesn't talk much either. So it was kind of subtle that he was like letting me know things were going to be okay. Yeah. And I was just like, wait, did someone do some weird shit? Like, what's going on here?
Feels weird.
Yeah. Everybody's like not themselves. And so he comes back and he's walking something. He's walking towards me and he sits down, but this time, because of the way we were sitting, he sits on the opposite side. And the whole day I didn't realize I had not seen the right side of his face.
Oh shit! He
had a dick, bro, from the top of it, from the right on the side of his forehead, the side of his forehead, all the way down to the side of his chin. Just a dick, bro, with balls, all detailed. Oh, bro.
And you never seen it.
I didn't know he had it on there. He didn't know. He went to one market to go get the beer.
Oh shit!
And then he went to another market to go get the salt stuff. So people all day were looking at him with this dick.
Cock face.
So I look at him, I was like, oh shit, bro, your face. He's like, what? I was like, they drew a dick on your face, bro. He was not happy about that shit. And then I didn't realize that they had wrote on my arm too. Yeah. And they put like a heart or something. They just put a heart on my shoulder. And so he was like, he was just all bummed out. I was like, why'd they put a heart on you and they put a dick on my face? I was like, because they knew if they put a dick on my face, there was going to be some problems.
He was going to blow up.
So they just took it easy. Like, no, I'll write on the shoulder.
Good shit, man.
But is there, how do you deal with like your job and then the people who don't drink responsibly? Like where's the line of your responsibility and where's the line of like, bro, you need to, kind of like we talked about, you don't want to be in that situation where you cause an accident because you're not in the right mind.
Absolutely not.
So where's that balance, or where's that your perspective on it?
It's a tough balance. You do have to take the time to recognize it. Most bartenders, they get caught up in the fun and the drinking and the conversation, and most of all, they get caught up in the tips. So a lot of the time, we kind of are hesitant on trying to, notice someone drinking a little too much. But you have to do it, bro. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's part of the gig. Someone comes in all faded from somewhere else. 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna serve them. You know what I mean? I'll probably give them some water, let them know, hey man, you're already too fucked up, bro. I can't have that on my conscience. You know what I mean? I had a guy a couple weeks ago, came on his motorcycle, said that he's been, just bar hopping, having a good time. He doesn't really get a lot of time off. And so naturally, what do we do as men when we don't get a lot of time off when we want to drink? We're kind of over excessive about it.
Yeah.
And he came in all, big shot, cornbread fed, and, he just wanted a Budweiser, and I was like, dude, bro, I don't know if I'm comfortable serving you, bro. It's a fine line, Iceberg. You really have to be disciplined enough to locate it and address it. You know what I mean? Yeah, comes to territory, bro.
Do you think there should be like a breathalyzer or something like that, kind of like cars? If you're gonna hop from one bar to the next, like you have to.
I mean, in a perfect world.
In the perfect way.
In a perfect world, yeah. But you know how it is.
How does that conversation go? I mean, obviously it just goes to like, hey man, you either need to leave or you just drink this water.
It's all in your approach. Most of the time they do feel a little burnt, a little offended. You know what I mean? Because when you're drunk, why is this person ruining my good time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you just kind of approach it right. And I've always been the kind of guy who try to take the right approach. You know what I mean? Like, be a little bit, polite about it, be cool about it. I do have my moments where I kind of fly off the lid, but it's rare. There's a lot of people out there like that. Why be like the rest of them? You gotta, these people are here to have a good time. They just had a little too much. Let's let them know they had a little too much, and we'll just take it from there. You know what I mean?
And how does the cutoff work with a private setting? So like if it's like a wedding, right? Like how does the cutoff work?
When it's like that, I usually tell the host, either it's the wedding planner or the bride, someone along those lines, tell the best man, hey, this guest is pretty drinking over excessively, and even though this is a private event in a private setting, we do follow all the rules. We follow all the laws. You know what I mean? And it's, when it's somebody else's private event, the only thing that they're thinking about is, oh no, they're not gonna fuck up my party, so they go tell them right away. It's actually a lot easier to do it in those settings than it is in the bar. Yeah.
Okay, because there's also like, it's different as like in your bar they kind of know you as the server, but they don't really know the owner, and the owner's not really there to detail it. They don't have any respect for the owner, I guess. Versus in a wedding, they know the events for this person, and so there's a mutual respect of like, I don't want to be that dude. Yeah. I don't want to be the dude who gets told he got to leave. And shit.
Yeah, it's actually been a lot simpler at those types of events. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Do they still have like those free rides home from bars?
DDI, they still do that. I see them, at different bars that I go to on my spare time. Me and my fiance have actually used it. It's just like an Uber. It's like the same price, bro. They drive your car home. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. They're still doing that.
And well, that's cool. So if someone just goes like, hey, I don't know how I'm gonna get home, or if you cut them off, you give them that information as well.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because it is a year-round business, but DDI is only like busy like on New Year's Eve, Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day.
Heavy drinking days.
Yeah. Those excessive days, man. Those days where my patience is like climbing up there.
So as someone who's watched people drink, right? You've seen the spectrum, too much.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe even too little or something, right? But what would you say is the game plan or the strategy of the person who wants to like just have that good time drinking and not go too far? Because there's people who want to keep a buzz, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the whole like keep hydrated, or just like 1 hour drink? Like what is it that you've seen that people kind of do better when they're gonna have a good time that night? They're not gonna be too much. They're not gonna be a fool. They're not gonna endanger other people. Whatever that situation.
I have both types all the time. I'll usually have the lady who's sipping her Prince Albert, 1 drink per hour, right next to the person that's slamming them down, but has a glass of water in between 3 Prince Alberts because she thinks it's gonna help. I see it all, bro. It's crazy in the bar business because everybody likes to have a drink, whether you're a teacher after work or you're just a guy chilling on his day off. It's America's pastime, bro, to go have a cocktail.
So you just gotta kind of just know your own body.
Yeah,
and be realistic about it.
Yeah.
What has been your experience with the ownership of all these bars? I would imagine since you've worked with everybody in the industry, you're local here in Bakersfield, Kern County, and so have you seen kind of the change in management of bars? Is it kind of just the same old? Is there any difference in it?
I think the process for the last few years has definitely had a lot of similarities. There are one or two, bartenders that are bar owners that kind of take it to the next level. You know what I mean? Because they want to stand out. But the process is pretty much the same as far as the license, the alcohol ordering, the food service, getting the right people in line to run your bar. I've worked for lots of great owners. I can't ever think of, you know, I don't have a lot of bad experiences. I'm a people person,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that I've worked for have all been wonderful people. You might not always see eye to eye on some things, but that's just business. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of the times, like for example, the owner at the bar I work at now, Noriega's, he called me up back in May, and just like how you said, like Tim, a lot of people in Kern County. He called me up and he was like, you know what, Tim, I have this big beautiful Basque restaurant and this big beautiful bar. I don't think anybody else in any Basque restaurants is having nightlife. He goes, I want to have some nightlife here. So I called a couple of my DJ friends, DJ Redeemed and DJ Wifey,
For sure.
and told them, "Hey, man, if you guys have some Friday nights open, let's get this place popping." And here we are, almost 6 months later, rocking and rolling the only nightlife on a Friday night at a Basque restaurant.
DJ Redeemed, and I'm forgetting his real name.
Johnny.
Johnny, yeah. Johnny.
Yes.
So Johnny told me a story about peanut butter, and I told him I'd come up with a joke for it, and I have come up with a joke for it, but it's just not right. I'm still working on it. But every once in a while, I'll be like at an open mic or somewhere, and I'm practicing jokes.
Yeah.
And I'll run it, and then I'm just like, I could be a little bit better. I could switch it up. But yeah, I won't tell a story because it's just a story he told me. But it was just I've told him for a long time that I was gonna work on a joke, and I have I really have worked on that joke, but it's just not. I'm making it up. It's not a story.
You gotta get it in.
Yeah, and it's made up, so I'm trying to like get it right.
You gotta
it's not
get it
something
right.
that just
Yeah,
happened to me, and I'm just telling the story. So let me see. What was I gonna say about the ownership? So is it mostly like in most businesses, is it like one family that owns all the bars, or is it like mostly just all random people, or is it just like a group of people buying out these bars and have these bars? 'Cause I see similar names sometimes, or sometimes the association with some of them. I'm like, I wonder if it's the same owner.
Sometimes it's one man. Sometimes it is a family.
Because I know I think his name was Jeffrey or Jerry. I met him at the Foxtail.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was the owner of Foxtail, and then he told me he was also the owner of Pyramids. And then they opened this other. It's not called Fox. It's not the Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
And then they just opened the Foxtail, right?
So the Silver Fox and the
Silver,
Foxtail.
No, the
are
Silver.
related?
No, the Silver Fox and the Pyrenees. Pyrenees, yeah, those are related.
Yes.
The same owner, apparently, same guy. And then
Yeah, that's Rob. He's a super dope dude. He's awesome.
They opened Foxtail recently.
Haven't been there yet.
But
haven't
I don't
got
know.
a chance.
I just thought it was
visit
random because it's such a similar name,
Yeah.
Like that's like it's right around the block.
And I thought about that too when they did open. I was like, Foxtail and Silver Fox, right around the corner from each other. Because the Silver Fox is a popular bar and a landmark. I mean, I don't, bar politics. I would be offended. Like, dude, just keeping it real, man.
They got to fight for the name.
Yeah, like, hey, man, why are you calling your bar the Foxtail? This is Silver Fox Crips over here.
well, I mean, right? And then I kind of had the same thought. I was like, oh, I wonder if they're related. Here we'll get into some geopolitics, right? So has the war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine caused any trouble with vodka?
Dude,
that's what I'm hearing, but I don't know. I haven't seen.
I haven't witnessed any troubles from it. If anything, our beverage guys, our Anheuser-Busch and all those vendors, we have more trouble with them than our spirits, than our vodkas and everything. You know what I mean? Like, so no, I haven't felt any effects of that.
I wonder if Kern County has the plug for like vodka or something.
Yeah, or like
McCarthy.
Don't even trip what's going on over there. We got you.
McCarthy just took care of it. Shit. He's like, I got what you guys. Don't worry about this shit. How has the balance come from? Speaking of like politics and maybe going to like legislation with like the freeing up of like legalizing of marijuana, has that changed the bar scene in any way, or is it more just like, hey, like it's kind of like the old school smoking. Like, hey, go smoke over there.
We don't allow smoking indoors at all. On a Friday and Saturday night, we're kind of lenient on the vaping. You know, everybody likes to vape now. But it's not the same as tobacco smoke or weed smoke, so it's totally
tobacco
different.
lingers around.
Yeah, it stains your walls and everything. You know what I mean? So that's not good for business at all. It's not too much different. Because it's so lenient now. You see a lot more smokers at the bar. Would be my how I take it.
With have you since you have been doing it so long that you can recognize people under the influence of alcohol, is there any tips or warning signs if someone's under the influence of like another like narcotic or something, where someone's like coked out or on some other type of hard drug where you're just like, this guy's something.
When you work at a bar on the east side, you can notice it right away. It's it's fucking on the scale of 1 to 10, that she's on a good one. On an 11, you can notice it right away. It's unfortunate. We're joking about it, but it is out there, and you just kind of try to steer them away from the bar because they're a little too high on something else.
And that's something I've noticed with drinking as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And I've had certain experiences where I've kind of moved away from alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I drank heavy with my friends. What they call binging. Just drinking after drink after drink. There's no like, it's not a casual setting. It's more just like I'm trying to get fucked up.
Straight
up.
I'm
trying to get fucked up. And then in college, it was more just like parties, having a good time, going out to eat somewhere after, like kind of being responsible. You drink hard, go eat somewhere, usually having someone designated to driving for the most part. And then now that I'm a little bit older, I don't go out to drink as much as more. And if I do drink, I'd rather buy an expensive drink and sip on it than to be like hitting down Patron all fucking all night. I'd rather buy like a $200 bottle of mezcal and here, take a shot. I'll take a shot, and we have a long conversation. And hey, take a shot, bro, and I'll take a shot.
I have a bottle at my house too, bro. You got to have the taste for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's an acquired taste. People don't understand. You know what I mean? With the mezcal, it's so good.
Well, I would rather have a good time, a good drink. I enjoy the moment more than before. Before, I just want to get fucking faded.
I hear you.
And that, bro, had a good ass fucking time. We're so fucking we're plastered and shit.
Comes with age, bro. I'm the same way. I like to go and kick back from time to time. And people our age, when they do come to the bar and they're like, "Hey, man, it's been so long. I haven't been here in a while. How's everything?" I let them know the truth. Oh, bro, you're not missing nothing. It's the same atmosphere, same music, same drinks. Probably the same 2 drunk girls are gonna fight at the end of the night. You know what I mean? It's all good. As we get older, we just want to chill. But I used to be the same way. Always out, always wanting to party, always wanting to drink. Nothing in particular. I just wanted to get fucked up. But now, as I'm older, I like to kick back. I like heading to the beach and having some wine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a couple of dope wine cellars out there by the beach that I like to go to, and it's more relaxing now. It's more of a relaxing vibe that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That's come, and it's also come with the type of friends you want. Kind of like the rowdy friends they have their time and their day. But then for the most part, it's just, hey man, let's just chill, have a good time, have a good dinner between us and our friends, and not be in a situation where people are plastered and shit, just embarrassing themselves or making unnecessary comments. That's probably the number one. My breaking friendships with people is someone intoxicated and making inappropriate comments or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
there are lines,
bro?
man. There's boundaries, and alcohol is no excuse to be crossing those lines or pushing those boundaries. I try to tell people all the time. I tell my regulars all the time, and sometimes they get upset, sometimes they understand, and I go, hey, as regulars, I expect you to be the example. Whether you drink a lot or not, I want new customers to feel welcome, not people walk in and be like, who is that? I've never seen them before. You know what I mean? So
that's crazy. So you kind of switch it up on them because you take it from, instead of like them thinking that they have a privilege.
Yeah.
Rather you're communicating with them like, no, it's not about you having privileges. Rather you're the beacon of example.
Absolutely.
Of what I expect in my bar because you've been here so long. we've corrected each other on what you want with your service and what I want as a customer. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You kind of turn the table on them a little bit. The pressure's on them rather than like the expectations on you to, turn the other cheek or,
You got to, man. It makes them think, and then it's good for business.
It's clear communication.
Yeah.
There's really good communication there. I myself, sometimes I don't feel, and we don't have to just talk about bar stuff, but myself.
I'm an open book, brother.
Myself, sometimes I don't want to drink, but I do want to go to a bar. And so, and it's not like, oh, I want to pick up anybody. It's not that I want to see people drunk. Rather, just kind of like the chaotic noise.
Atmosphere, bro.
The people kind of just having a good time. Sometimes I just like to watch people just kind of like I guess being the bartender, not to see who's drunk, but just kind of like, what's going on over there? Just by their mannerisms, the way they walk away from the table and come back. Like, it's just like, oh, this is going on. There's the guy arguing with his girlfriend. You can't see nothing, but you see him grabbing her elbow and telling her to come back. And she's like, no. And then next thing you know, she's having another drink with them and shit. So it's like, oh, look at them,
It's like a nightlife reality episode of Young and the Restless sometimes.
But in those times that I've gone, I have never, ever had a bartender say something negative about me ordering a Coke.
No.
But I've had customers go like, hey, you want a milk? Yeah. You sure you don't want a milk or something? But a warm milk. But I've never had a bartender like say anything negative. They're just like, you got it, boss.
It's a fun gig, but we're professionals, man. We like that. You're pacing yourself. You're not here just for the alcohol. You're here for the environment, for the vibes, and we like to let people know that that's okay.
What's an appropriate tip?
An appropriate tip.
Yeah.
An appropriate tip to me is, if you're gonna have a couple of beers, you know what I mean, shoot a couple bucks. If you're gonna be that dude ordering every 2 minutes for the whole table, hey, let me get 6 Jaeger bombs. Hey, let me get 6 Adioses. And you're just repetitive, and you're gonna have that big bill. We're gonna want some compensation for that. You know what I mean? I don't like to get in too much into value, but let's, I have a couple of guys on the weekends. I even have a guy on Sunday, a Sunday night regular who spends about at least $200 to $300 on Sunday night. Like, doesn't he work in the morning? And but every time he compensates me, you know what I mean? A good, I would say 60 to 80 on that tip, which brings his value up even more. And I just keep thinking, how come he doesn't do this on Saturday night? Every time he comes in, I'm like, dude.
Okay, let's do something about that bid shift at work, man.
I'm just like, man.
Oh, maybe he does work Monday through Saturday. Who knows?
Yeah.
What's a bad strategy for tips? I'll give you an example for myself. I as big as I am in life, people seem to notice me, right? I could be walking down the street, people see me across the street, or people see me.
Yeah.
I stand out sometimes with the beard, the height, whatever. For whatever reason, when I go into a bar, these people can't see me or something because I feel like I'm there forever.
Yeah.
And I'll see other people just walk up and I'm like, it's because she's pretty. Or something, I'll say shit like that to myself, and I'm just kind of, or I'll be like, because he's white.
You're not too far away from the truth, bro. It's crazy.
So I'm like, what the? So the strategy that I've picked up sometimes now is if it's somewhere I know I'm going to be at. Like, I'm okay, this is where we're going to drink at. And I don't want to be standing there feeling like a fool.
Well, then wear your crop top, bro.
Right. What I do is I'll try to give a heavy tip.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, and I try to be consistent with like the first 3 orders I make. I'll give like a $10 tip or a $5 tip, whatever. Just kind of leave that there and hoping that I'm kind of like training them. Like, hey man, you're gonna get a tip. Like, and that's the best way I've figured out to do it is just keep tipping instead of like, oh, I'm gonna tip at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I just tip as I go.
Tip with the order.
I order a $7 drink. I give you the change, or I give you, if you give me a $5, I'll give you the $5.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb to have. In the business, I'm super appreciative whether it's $1 or $100. You know what I mean? But that is a good rule of thumb to go that way. Tip while you're ordering. A lot of people who say, "Oh, I'll tip at the end." Sometimes they forget. You know what I mean?
And poor guy.
Yeah, I try to be appreciative. Like, what I tell new bartenders all the time, because 9 times out of 10, new bartenders see what you're doing, and they're in it right away. They want in this business because of the tips. They see the money, and the one thing I try to tell them is, hey, look, do your gig, It's a fun gig, but it's still a gig. Maintain your professionalism. The tips will be there. You know what I mean? Don't go looking for them because they'll be there. Don't get greedy. I try to instill that into all the young ones that are coming in to bartending because I'm the older bartender now, which fucking sucks. But I try to kick some knowledge when I can, and a lot of that has to be around tips because that's the first thing that they see is the money that you take home. And I try to let them know, hey, never look for it. Work hard, be cultural, just talk to everybody the same, be cool with them all, vibe with them, understand them. Tips will be there, bro. Ain't no thing. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for those people who are thinking of bartending?
Well, my advice to them would be like, hey man, come on in, give it a shot. Bartending, it's a fun job, but there's still a lot of hard work behind the scenes. You got to do the orders. Customer service it's a bitch in any industry, and in bartending, it's probably a little bit more up there. You have to have a lot of patience. It's a good tester. You know what I mean? This job. But if you welcome it with open arms, you know what I mean? And if you attack it with the right approach, there's no stopping you. It's a good industry to be in. I've had other jobs, regular job type jobs is what you would say, 9 to 5, I guess. And I've always found myself steering back to the bar life, whether like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to work part time. There's been lots of instances like that, but you can't get away from it when you know it's there. It's such a cool job, a fun job, a welcoming job, as long as you have the discipline for it. So bring it on, new people.
What is the, I guess what would say is if someone goes, maybe I want to try that. What would be like the minimum requirement for most bars for someone who wants to be a bartender?
The minimum requirements. That's a good question. I think you would just have to be someone that's willing to learn and willing to listen would be the first steps, because drinks are the easy part, man. Everything's repetitive. There are a few drinks out there that people will order that are off the wall, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck is this club drink from LA that you're fucking ordering, man? I've never heard of that. But most of the time, it's a repetitive, easy business to learn, just as long as you're willing to listen and take a little bit of orders in the beginning, just to become a better bartender. You know what I mean? It's not a bad racket at all.
So how many years have you been working?
I've been bartending. I am 40. I've been bartending for 11 years.
So in those 11 years, have you seen bottles get rebranded?
Bottles get rebranded? Like, you mean?
It's the same bottle, they just changed the name.
Same bottle, just...
So I'll give you an example. Growing up,
mm-hmm.
Obviously I couldn't buy alcohol. So we would have people buy us alcohol.
Yeah.
We stand outside of a liquor store and some random dude would buy us alcohol, right? We'd give him a 40 out of our 40s or whatever the situation, some cash. And I remember I had a friend that he would always want to get Night Train.
Yeah.
And it was a bottle.
Old school stuff.
Yeah. And it had a taste to it. And it was a very, it's a taste that when you taste it, you remember that shit, So I didn't have it for a long time. And I remember I had some friends who had came into some money. The Native Americans, who their casino was doing well, and blah blah blah, and they had some money, and so they were like, "Hey man, we're gonna drink tonight, and come on over." So I was like, "All right," so I come on over, and they're like, "Hey, we saw this in a Ludacris video, bro. We're all drinking it," and I was like, "What is it? It's called Hypnotic, bro. It's a new drink. It's a shit." I was like, "All right," and they had a big old bottle. They're telling me it was like $70 something. It was like expensive at the time, and so I was like, I was all right, and they were all pumped up about it. So I take a shot of it, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, does this taste like nitrate?" And
Hypnotic, that's the blue one, right?
Yeah. And so everybody starts laughing, and so then when they go to take their shot, they have in mind what I said. Down the line, everybody's like, "This shit is nitrate, bro. They fucking just sold us nitrate." And to this day, I believe it's the same fucking thing.
Still the same thing.
I've never done the research to see if it's like the same
I've yet to
distribution
encounter it, but in the name of science, I'm willing to explore. You know what I mean? For real.
Because I think Patron was like a rebranded drink as well. It was a tequila, and then was it something Michael Paul, whatever, the hair conditioning guy. He bought it out and rebranded it as like a like a popular Mexican drink and stuff, but like it wasn't. But now people do drink it everywhere. But at that
No
time,
shit.
at that time it was considered like a really low grade, like cheap vodka. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what a cheap vodka these days would be, but some whatever it is. But
The Paul Mitchell guy, huh? Yeah, this
yeah,
is the first time I'm hearing that.
yeah. So
That's
my
awesome.
my understanding is Paul Mitchell bought it and then rebranded it as like a fancy quality drink, but it was
And
really
see?
just like it was just to mix. It was for, it's not intended to be a drink because typically you can drink it by itself, but Patron people drink it with a mix mostly.
And
There's some people
see how society is. It fell on deaf ears until a celebrity that is into hair products. You know what I mean? Rebrands it. Boom, puts his stamp on it. Now look,
and it wasn't
crazy
and,
how
and,
the world
and they're
works.
very upfront about the people who talk about like how it was transitioned.
Yeah.
They're pretty upfront about how it wasn't like it was undersold or it wasn't valued appropriately. Um, they just used marketing and branding to make a cheap drink popular. It's not like it's quality or anything.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything to make it better. They knew they had a product that they could rebrand and resell for a
It's
higher
a
price.
good
And it's the
business
same
move,
shit.
man.
I just saw one on Instagram. I put it on my Instagram, but it was
Yeah.
Payless Shoes opened up a store, and instead of calling it Payless, they called it Paylee or something. They gave it like an Italian name or like French name, and they put their regular shoes
Yeah.
in that store, and people paid $600 and something for those shoes.
Get the fuck out of here.
And
For
then
real?
once they paid, they told them afterwards, like these shoes aren't worth the what you paid. Here's your money back. These are shoes from Payless. But they it was so weird because they had these people and they had money, bro. They're dropping 600
Yeah.
on shoes. They all looked very nice, clean and shit. And they were talking these shoes as like they were like these like quality, like just trying to like the marketing of it. They were just like, oh, I could tell just by the stitching that this is the quality of this shoe, and blah blah blah. And then they're like all pompous motherfuckers, and then they buy them and then they lay it down to them. All their faces are just like flush. The blood just comes out of their
They
face.
got shoe fished. Oh fuck.
But it just
Love
shows
it.
you like what marketing and branding can do for a business,
Absolutely.
or even a product.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for me? There's more questions I'll ask you, but I just want to go back and forth. So it's not
Yeah,
just one.
sure, man. I mean, it's been a while since we've interacted. So I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for having me on.
Oh, no
you know,
problem,
you know
man.
what I mean, dude? Like when you messaged me, I was like, yeah, of course, man. Like we go way back. I remember when I was the manager at the library bar.
Right.
That was when I first met you. You used to come in and you were doing your comedy thing. And what stands out for me around that time is that you know how there's local people doing their thing, and at the time my boss wanted to just have one
First Friday.
yeah, just wanted to have one person, one comedian in charge of our nights there. But I had multiple people coming, and I was like, well, you know what? Iceberg, he's our man. He was the first one, so I had to fend off a few other ones, and made a couple of enemies because of that.
That's funny. I myself made some enemies.
They're like, fuck the library. Then he already got his guy there. That's cool.
And it's funny you bring that up. That has been a conversation, and I think that's the other side of that conversation that I haven't been talking to people about.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people that Frank was talking to comedians and like saying, hey, I'm looking for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it was and I say the name all the time, and I don't think he cares, but Boyston, he asked Boyston, he's all, Boyston, would you be interested in it?
Yeah.
And Boyston was like, on what day? He's like, yeah, First Fridays, man. I just want to do First Fridays. You up for it? And then he's like, well, how about Saturday? He's like, what? He's like, how about on a Saturday? He's like, no, I'm looking for First Friday. He's like, how about Sunday? He's like, no, I'm looking for First Friday. He's like, can you do this First Friday coming up? He's like, well, we can do it on the 15th because I got to go out of town. Yeah. And so I think at that point, I think Frank was just like, what the fuck do you not get that I'm telling you First Friday? Like, why are you giving me a date? I'm giving you the date. Can you do it? Man. So I started laughing, and then I think maybe you guys had that conversation later, and then me and Frank talked a little bit, and then we just had okay, we came to an agreement. So. Yeah. But yeah,
that was my first taste of behind the scenes comedic world. I was like, oh shit, these guys don't play either.
It's an odd place, man, to be in comedy here in Kern County. It's different. I mean, I haven't done the circuit in a lot of places I'm familiar with people from like San Jose, Fresno, Vegas, other places. But as far as the circuits that I've gone, it's always been LA and here, and it's way different here because some of the things here are different in that. Um, okay. One thing that they got mad at me was about that place. So they were like, "Oh, you took the spot from us," and I was like, "No, they we had a conversation. It was in both our best interest that we move forward, so we move forward."
Yeah.
I saw him give someone an opportunity who did not get it. That he was being given an opportunity, and just threw that out the fucking window. But that they became very like you stole our spot and territorial and shit. I didn't really understand it, and I was
Me neither.
kind of new to here.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like that.
It was just different. And I remember another time I got caught up in trouble was it wasn't I don't think it wasn't the green room. It was called the library, and then I was talking to the lady who they were doing an open mic there.
Yeah.
And then it might have been the green. I can't remember anymore. But there was a green room, and this girl showed up. She killed it, bro. She did 20 minutes straight, killed the fucking room. It was her first time doing comedy. Did great. Comedians were hating on her. They were calling her black. She was not black. They were like, "Why is she trying to act black?" And I was just like,
"Damn, it's like that, huh?"
Yeah, it was just hate, bro. Just hating on her hard. And later on, they got into like a fucking Twitter, fucking a little thumb war and shit. They were on Facebook, and they started messaging about like. And I asked them all, "Hey man, I like the scene to grow. I myself am trying to open another spot. I'm trying to do some shows.
Yeah.
And I really think that we should all be working together. We shouldn't be chewing each other out."
Absolutely.
And we have a new comedian who did well, and instead of welcoming her, you guys shit on her. And later on, they all started doing business with her because she could sell tickets. So that was the fucked up part. They started talking shit about her, and when they saw she could sell tickets, they all started kissing her ass and being nice to her. And I was like, that's fucked up. But I caught some heat with that because the dude was like, "Hey, she must be sucking you off," and I was like, "No, man, like, why do you have to like why are you taking the conversation there, bro? Like,
Yeah,
like, we're talking about just the scene and trying to grow it and how we should respect new comedians as they come in and welcome them, welcome them, and especially their females. It's kind of I think it's when you criticize a female, it kind of weighs a little bit heavier." Especially if you're an experienced comedian, because you can talk some mad shit to somebody, make them feel bad.
It looks bad though too. I mean, you're a grown ass man talking about the new girl on the mic. I mean, come on.
And so I think the guy said something, like, "Yeah, you must be doing something, messing with her." And I was like, "Well, whatever, bro." And so I was like, just chill, blah blah. And then he said, I can't remember the exact wording he used, but he pretty much said like, go fuck yourself or something, fucking you white knight, some shit. And I was like, you know what, man. You talk to me like this here, but I want to see you talk to me like that come, the open mic.
I would have been like, you got the white right, because they do call me Iceberg.
and so he goes something about, "I'll say it to your face." I was like, "All right, then. Well, I'll see you when I see you. Give me the time and the place. We'll take care of it." And so it was a threat, but it wasn't a threat of violence. It was more a threat of like, if you're gonna call me out, then I'm here, bro.
Yeah.
And you tell me where to go.
Well, brother.
Well, after that, they banned me from the mics. I got banned because they said I was threatening the comedians and shit. And I was just like, "Nah, man, I was calling out someone who was calling me out and being rude." And so they just jumped on the opportunity to get rid of me. But the crazy part is that they act like that's not normal. But if you go to LA, these dudes are fighting each other. Bobby Lee has been drop kicked in the Comedy Store I don't know how many fucking times,
dude,
by other comedians.
It's wild out there, huh?
Well, yeah. It's just different. It's just different. I think there's just so many people out there that they just don't care. It's just like, whatever. We can't handle all these fucking fights and all these things. And so here is like,
totally
bro,
get it.
How are we ever gonna grow if you just keep being like petty? Even recently, I quit my job, and so I was like, I'm gonna get back into comedy. I'm gonna start doing comedy, make some side business.
You're due, bro.
And so I came back. I went to, obviously I have no choice. I got to go to one of these open mics. And so I went to make men's, and I went and talked to the dude, and I was like, "Hey man, like, I want to sign up for the open mic. Is it cool?" And he goes, "Yeah, let me talk to you." So we go to the back, and I'm gonna probably cut this out, but we go to the back, and he took me to a specific room. He didn't go like, "Hey, let me talk to the office," or, "Hey, we're here in the front. Let's go further in the front, the parking lot, and talk." He took me to a specific room. I'm assuming it was recorded. And so he's like, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and you disappeared, so I wasn't able to tell you that's all cool, and you're not banned from this place. Like, you're more than welcome to come back. And I was like, okay. And you have to tell yourself, like, do I need to be right, or do I just need to get what I want?
Yeah.
And which is, I just want the mic back.
Yeah.
And so if I get the mic back, then whatever. You want to say that's all my fault. You want to say, oh, fine, whatever. I get the mic. But I was sitting there listening to this guy, and I was like, this guy must be recording me, because the way he's telling the story makes no sense. Because, he's saying that I stopped showing up, and that I kind of told everybody to go fuck themselves, and I blocked everybody. I was like, well, yeah, I did tell everybody to go fuck themselves, and I did block everybody because I wasn't given a chance to, say my side of the story of like the problems I was having with one dude was like saying, it's a long story, but he had, I went to his house, right? I'll cut this out. But I went to his house, and then, it was bad, bro. Roaches.
Oh man.
Like, not roaches, like, oh, he saw one over there. They were like chilling roaches. Like, like they had territory there.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until, some guy had brought some chips. He handed me the bag of chips. I grabbed some chips, and I go to put it on the table. He snatches it off the table, and he's like, don't put food down. And I was like, what? He's like, we got roaches. We'll look around. And that's when I started looking. I see roaches going under the microwave and shit. And I was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, that's why we're standing. I was wondering why we're all standing up in the living room,
God damn.
And so he was like, they were like, yeah, man, his house is pretty messy, man. And I was like, oh shit. And so it was cool at first, but then I saw his wife come out, and his kid came out. Yeah. And I was just like, man, people shouldn't live. And then I was working in social work at that time, so I was just kind of like, oh man, what can I do for this guy?
Yeah.
So, I think we're outside. I was getting ready to leave because I couldn't really be there. And so I was like, hey,
your inner social worker was kicking in when you're off the clock.
I wasn't a social worker at the time. I was actually an assistant. At
for real?
But I had an understanding of some basic
yeah.
stuff, right? And so I was kind of like, I don't feel comfortable how it looks. I knew it wasn't nothing to report or anything like that would cause any kind of problems and stuff. So in my mind, I was like, okay, like, one, because the child was old enough to like not like be on the ground or be eating off the ground. It's there's a fine line, But anyways, it didn't meet the criteria of like any kind of like child abuse or anything.
Gotcha.
Like that. So I knew that all they would do ever is like say, hey, can we help you clean your house? So I was like, well, instead of having some random government official or nonprofit come over to this guy's house, how about I volunteer to clean his house? So I bought a bunch of sponges,
right on,
a bunch of bags and shit. And so I saw him at the mic probably like a week later, and I was like, hey man, I want to talk to you about. And he's like, yeah man, about the roaches, bro. Like they're from my neighbor's house. I was like, all right. He's like, yeah, man, they're fucking wetbacks and shit, and they're fucking, they're fucking immigrants. And I was just like, whoa, this is not going how I was expecting it to go.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, man. So I just cut him off. I was just like, hey, bro, like, I just wanted to ask you if it'd be cool if I come over to your house and help you clean it.
Yeah.
He's like, you would do that? I was like, yeah, man. Like I see that, your situation. I ain't got to know nothing about it. Just, just know that I'll help you, and I'll keep it to myself. I'm not going to tell nobody about it. As I'm talking about it. And then so I was like, all right. He's like, all right, yeah, that's cool, man. I appreciate that, man. And I was like, no problem, man. And again, like, I'm not gonna tell nobody, bro. He's like, all right, cool.
We're not gonna tell nobody until we start this podcast.
Until I start this podcast. And so I've talked about it before. Because it goes south after that. And so he takes like 10 steps. Like, let's go back inside, bro. And so he's like, all right. So we start walking. He takes 10 steps and he stops and he goes, are you gonna call CPS on me?
What the fuck?
And I was like, no, it's quite the opposite, man. I'm offering to help you clean your house.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and if I don't, are you gonna call CPS on me? And I was like, hey, bro, let's not go down that route. Like you're bugging out. You're bugging out, bro. Like I'm telling you that I'm gonna help you, and I just want to help you, and that's it, bro. And then he's like, you're an informant, huh? You're a spy or some shit. And I was like, oh wow, this is not going well. So I was like already like, I need to walk away because he's a little off. The guy's off. I've seen him do comedy obviously, and he's a little off, but harmless. But
people are just not used to help, bro. It's crazy.
So he starts threatening me. He starts saying that he's gonna have the people doing the shows at the green room, and he's gonna have them all deported. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like. So yeah, he just goes off, bro. He starts talking about he's gonna hack my computer, and I was just like, man, there goes all my porn and shit. Like, what the fuck? Now I gotta put tape over my camera when I watch my videos.
There goes all that shit.
And so I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And so then he starts sending all the people that I was like threatening him, and this and that. So then that's what it goes south. I get banned from all the stuff, and everybody's saying that like. Called CPS on him and all this shit. And so I was like, all right, whatever. Um, I go to talk to the owner guy from the well. He owns the well now.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who banned me from from the mics. And so I go, and I go to the rocket shop, and he goes, hey, I want to talk to you. I was like, all right. So we go talk. This time he doesn't take me to a random spot. He takes me like outside the door, and he's like, hey, I heard this was going on between you guys, and this and that, and so I think I can't have that. You can't be, I've had reports of you, threatening multiple comedians.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you mean by threat? He's like, I don't know. I just know that you threatened him. I was like, well, I mean, was it self-defense? Was it me, saying something back to someone who threatened me? I was like, because if you're talking about this incident, that person called me out, and so I told him, give me a time and a place. Easy as that. Like, I just responded. And I've seen him since. I haven't touched him. I haven't threatened him. I haven't given him a bad eye. I say hi. I shake his hand. I move forward. I know that he's a bitch. I ain't gonna fucking prove it to nobody, because I've had several of those comedians where we had nights where sometimes we rag on each other.
Yeah.
And it happens. I've gotten ragged on pretty hard sometimes. I'm like, oh, you got me. I'll get him back.
You got me.
I'll get you back. And so,
that's got to be tough in the comedic world.
Sometimes they whatever it could be. It could be something you're wearing, something you said, you're sad, whatever. You just dig into your fucking, or you bomb, you do horrible, and the next person goes up and they're like, well, okay, let's just move on. And so, something kind of like, that kind of hurt. It was subtle, but it hurt. And so, I'm talking to him and I'm like, no, that's the situation. And I was like, what about him, threatening to deport my fucking workers and like the people I'm booking and like, saying that he's gonna hack my computer. Like, do you have any issues with that? He's like, well, I don't know anything about that. I was like, it seems like you don't know anything, and you're just jumping on the opportunity to kick me out. So
Sounds like it.
So when I was sitting there at that office, and he was like telling me how he hadn't banned me, that I kind of banned myself, and that he'd been trying for it's been like 3 years. He was trying for the longest time to let me know that he did not ban me, and that everything was perfectly fine, that he and the other guys had talked about it, and that it was perfectly welcome, but he just didn't have a way of getting a hold of me because I blocked him on Facebook. And so I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and I'm like, this guy's so full of shit. I can't help but think that he's recording this conversation, hoping that I try to like push fuck you, fool, you don't, so I was just like, so I can get on the mic. Yeah, hey man, we'll have a good day.
Well, sometimes you gotta let them talk to find out how full of shit they really are. And the other piece of that is that if they ain't talking about you, Iceberg, then you're not doing something right. You know what I mean? It's definitely crazy out there. Yeah.
I had a comedian guy who helped me a lot in kind of navigating the shittiness of comedy. Sometimes through their own actions, and sometimes just from heads up about other people, just
straight up,
depending on the situation. And he said the same thing. He goes, I came to this town and I didn't know anybody. I moved here because of his family situation. His wife had a job out here, and he was a comedian. He traveled, so he's like, who gives a fuck where I live? So he moved out here. We talked for a while, and then we got to know each other. And that's one of the things he told me. He's like, one thing I noticed about you is when I got here, how much shit everybody talks about you, bro. He's all, but then I met you, and then you're on top of your shit. You're doing your own shit. You're not. He's all. There's a reason they were talking about you, and they were fucking hating on you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
that's how it goes.
I was like, okay. Well, I would rather they just got along with me.
Same, bro. It's everywhere. Can you imagine the festival that you guys would have if you guys all got along? It'd be huge, bro. Ticket sales through the roof. Everybody doing a set. It'd be dope.
The way people have told me about either trying to start a business here or being in a business here, a lot of people tell me that it's not a very productive place for businesses or entertainment. People seem to want to always be the one on top. Nobody wants to share the limelight. Nobody could say like, hey man, I'm doing this thing with my friends, or people I get along with that I trust. And I'm pulling $5,000 or $1,000. Yes, the other guy's making 20, the other guy's making 50, whatever off this event. And instead of saying, hey, I'm always going to have my 5, or what can I do to make myself more valuable so that I get a bigger chunk, or that I have a bigger portion, whether it be save my money and buy out other people.
Yeah.
Or, just being strategic within the business. People go, I'll just open my own festival.
There's plenty on the plate for everybody to eat, bro, is the way that I see it out there. No matter what it is, whether it's comedy, DJing, whatever your business might be, whatever your forte might be. I feel like there's plenty on the plate for everybody to eat. But I'm going to have to agree with you, man. I think everybody wants just to be the lone man at the top here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
and I want to phrase this. My experience growing up with like nauticals and stuff, and like meeting them and talking to them, it's just quite the opposite.
Huh.
They don't want nobody to know they're on the top. If anybody knows that they're on the top, they're kind of like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
You know, but because they don't really care about the fame, they want the money.
Yeah.
And so
keep it low key.
And so like when I came to this atmosphere, I was kind of like, why are people like that? Like, why do they want to know that they have the money? It only brings problems. People start asking you for money.
Mm-hmm.
People start asking you for jobs. Yeah. You know, people ask. And it's hard because sometimes it's your family or it's your best friend, and it's like, oh, like how do I not help this person? You know, because I've had that with friends. You know, where a large amount of money you just let them borrow just for whatever reason, and it kind of like, oh fuck, you kind of feel like obligated to help somebody.
Wow.
But yeah, that's just something I noticed out here. People, I think there's situations where you do have to kind of break off. You know, for myself, I had to break off because I couldn't depend on other people. Depending on other people kind of made it to where I didn't feel like I was growing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was just kind of always waiting on other people. So I was like, I'm going to break off and do my own thing. And I invited people with me. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to break off and be the top dog. I shared the wealth, bro. You know, when I was doing the rooms there, I always made sure to have a local there. I always made sure that if the local did fives, I'd always encourage them. I'd be like, hey, bro, I'm hiring you for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep working on your shit, not next month, but the following month, we'll try 15 or 10 and then get you the feature and then get you the headliner, bro. So you can get your credits, get your flyers, and then you can start going out of town.
Straight up.
And some people took me up on my advice. Some people didn't. But it was hard because I felt you can't help everybody. And if you try to help everybody, you're gonna help the wrong person at some point or something, because it's just a numbers game, I guess. And I didn't really have any way of filtering people. So I remember I had the redhead lady who owned the library, Tamara.
Yeah.
She hired me. She was very specific in that she did not want any kind of jokes regarding like violence towards women. She was just like, no rape jokes.
Yeah.
No rape jokes, right?
Okay.
And I was like, I don't feel comfortable telling comics to filter themselves.
Yeah.
But she gave me a reason, and the reason was good enough to say, like, okay, I'm going to switch it up. So I tell the comics no rape jokes. I had maybe 5 comedians going up that night. All 5 of them tell me, it's all good. I don't have rape jokes anyways. So I'm like, cool. This local comedian goes up, and I've said his name already, but I think I cut it out. So I'll cut it out again. But I just won't say his name. He goes up there. He does like 10 minutes straight of rape jokes. And I'm just like, and he's talking about the room and the shit that happened with Frank.
Oh,
and
shit.
He says he could smell it in the fucking bar. And I'm just like,
God.
I'm sitting there, I'm just like, and this lady, like, I knew I was going to have a conversation with her after this. I was so embarrassed, bro. So fucking embarrassed. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, bro, what the fuck, bro? He's like, I got nervous. I was like, you get nervous? You go to rape jokes, fool? Like, what the fuck is your explanation here, man? I was like, this guy's fucking crazy. So then I had to talk to her, and then I was like, I'm sorry. And she gave me some shit about it, but she was like, we moved on.
Yeah.
But then another time I kept pushing, and I got Danny Morrison to let me do the radio. Cool. And he liked it so much that he goes, hey, man, I'd like you to do the radio every first or second Saturday of the month. Mm-hmm. I was like, fuck yeah, bro. So I did that about 4 or 5 times. So that's 4 or 5 months, and then I approached Danny, and I was like, Danny, I want to share the wealth. Like,
He's a good dude, man. His daughter and my daughter, they're best friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He goes, I like that, and then that's really what he's about. He's always trying to do community stuff, help everybody out. And so I get 2 comedians to agree to be on the show. And I was like, this time I'm going to reach to a little bit different, not just this group. Because there's a couple groups out here. Yeah. So I reached to the other group. They're a little nemesis to each other. But I was like, hey, man, let me try to build a bridge here and reach out to this guy. So I go, hey, man, would you like to do a comedy show? He goes up. I think the first guy that goes up, he starts ragging on Danny.
Oh, shit.
And I don't think Danny liked it. Like I don't. Not that he didn't like being made fun of, because I made fun of him before, and he didn't care. At least as far as I know, he didn't care.
I mean, if you're right in front, you're gonna get razzed.
I think it was just not a good one. They ragged on him, but it wasn't a good rag. It was more just like criticism or some shit.
Oh,
and so he kind of, from what I hear, he didn't much like it. And so, but the rest of the show was really good. And so then I think about the next month, I invite another comedian. He tries to fight DJ Ogre,
What the hell?
bro. So we get in there, and I tell him like, hey, just be here at 9. And he's like, what time am I going up? I was like, I don't know. They just kind of go to commercial break, and they'll let you know, okay, you're coming up. They have their own thing, their own bits that they do, and then they move on to us, and then they'll just call you. They'll let you know, hey, you're gonna introduce yourself. We'll go to break. We'll come back. You tell some jokes. We'll go back to break. However they're gonna do it, they'll figure it out and they'll let us know. So just chill,
Shit. Cool.
chill, and think about your set.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right. And so I was like, but let me introduce you to everybody. So they're on break, and so I go, hey, Dan, it's cool. And he's like, yeah. So I introduce him to everybody. He gets to DJ Ogre, and then he says, what's up to him? And I step out to like leave the room, and he stays behind, and I look, and I turn around to him, and he's still standing, so I figured he was just trying to watch. They're on break anyways. But he looks over to DJ Ogre, and he's like, hey, why won't you add me on Facebook, man? I've sent you several requests.
What the fuck?
And so, right, just the personalities. Bro.
Yeah.
Just the yeah. And so, DJ Ogre is like, what? Like, what? He's like, I've been trying to add you for some time, and you're not adding me back, bro. Do we have some kind of problem? And DJ Ogre's trying to be like, he's so confused at that point, but he's also kind of like, don't tell me what to do. Like, he's like, don't. He's like, don't tell me what to do, bro. Like, what's going on here? And he's like, why are you? And then they try to get into it, and so I fucking just put my arm. I get in, bro. I just go in. I go like that. I was like, you, go sit down. Like, go sit down over there. And I turn to DJ.
But he won't be my friend on social media. This is bullshit.
Oh my god. And so DJ, I look at DJ. I'm like, I'm fucking so sorry, bro.
Dude,
I'm looking at Danny, and I'm like, dude, fuck, bro. Like,
yeah.
I think I did one more after that, and then after that, it was just kind of like I was done.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew why. It was just I was like, man, I just wanted to help some other people, and I don't know if they just didn't appreciate it, or they're just that wild, or if they were like, or if it was sabotage. Like, what the fuck was this shit?
Oh, don't stop helping people, brother. You can't.
Oh no.
We can't help that. The people. It is kind of hit and miss when you do help people. We know we got good souls, but they're out there, bro. They're ready to start fights because you won't accept their friend request. What can you do?
That shit's crazy. and time passes, people mature, and I think I actually recently saw them in a picture together, doing for a comedy show.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, look at them. They kind of mended their shit together, or they moved past it, or maybe they just pretend it never happened. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know how they came into it. How's your relationship in the entertainment business? Because I know you have to deal with bartenders, suppliers, owners, people who want to do entertainment. I'm sure people approach you like, hey, let me sing in here, or let me do some karaoke night.
Yeah.
And there's DJs that approach you. And obviously you have DJ Wifey, DJ Redeem. What has been your relationship with them, or some of the struggles?
I have a good, solid core relationship with pretty much almost everybody that I come in contact with, man. I'm a humble guy, bro. And I see a lot of the stuff that goes on, the conflict. So that kind of makes me want to be even more approachable and simple, because there's a lot of that going on. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of music, so it's easy for me to get along with the industry, the whole entertainment part of it. I love DJ Wifey and DJ Redeem, but I'm cool with everybody, man. Karaoke, it's like coded in our DNA as bartenders. We have to karaoke. It just comes with the territory. So I'm really good with the karaoke crowd. They're a lot of fun. Some of them mean business though, because they take their singing very seriously. On Monday is the finals for the karaoke finals at the Kern County Fair this Monday, where the winner is gonna get $1,000 and a recording contract. And I've actually performed at that final before. I didn't win. I lost to Tennessee Whiskey. It was the brand new song that year when it came out. This dude killed us all out, man. But they're pretty serious. Karaoke's awesome. The DJs are awesome. The bar owners, a lot of them are family oriented, so they're pretty settled. It's been an awesome experience. I really don't have too many downward tales about being being in it. And if I did, it would have to be. A lot of it is downtown. Whenever I've had any hiccups in the industry, it's downtown because it's so diverse downtown. There's so many different groups, so many different characters. You're gonna clash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. We're looking forward to having you again one time, Iceberg. I remember when you brought Little G down to Jerry's.
Yeah.
I still follow him to this day. He's doing his thing in LA. I saw him taking pictures with celebs the other day.
He's one comedian that
Funny motherfucker.
I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
And he's a human as well, but
Yeah.
definitely spending time with him, I learned a lot about the industry. I learned a lot about the ins and out of how money works, how sponsorships work. It's been a good experience. It was a good ride to hear all those things and meet people that I've never met before.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that I do appreciate about our friendship is that going to Netflix is a joke. He got me into there. Met a few celebrities that I only seen on TV my whole life. I think that's been my experience with him is that he's such a comedian who's been in the game so long that he has those his day one friends are all the dudes that used to watch on Comic View and shit like growing up. And so I always trip out because I'm all I can talk a lot at times, but when I come around celebrities, I can't talk, bro. Like I just sit there and I'm like, bro, I remember I used to watch this fucker all day, and he's a super chill dude. They all end up being cool. They all hang out. I've met a few Lunel.
You get a little starstruck. I can dig it.
I get starstruck like a motherfucker.
Me too.
Bro.
Me too.
And he's always telling me, "You want to take a picture?" I was like, I don't want to be all fucking all like that. But then like later I'll be talking to somebody and I'll be like,
takes me a couple of brews and a couple of shots to warm up to him. Wow.
When I tell people like, "Oh yeah, I met Lunel before," like, "No, you haven't." It's like, "Yeah, I met her outside the haha." It wasn't like a dinner or like at her place or anything like that. It was just just ran into her, had a short conversation, and then so I was like, "Man, if I had a picture, I could prove it." So sometimes I regret not taking pictures, but that said, I've been told by G at times that the people he's introduced me to were very appreciative that I wasn't all fanboy on him.
Yeah.
That I was just kind of like having a conversation, just like I was having a regular. On the inside, I was like, "Dude, this is fucking crazy." Like I'm in such and such rapper's house, or I'm in this comedian's car, or we're all hanging out at this hotel, or we're all hanging out at this bar, or bro, I'm backstage with fucking Donnell, and he's fucking nervous, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one, and it's never gonna end. So I shouldn't feel like, because you do feel bad sometimes. You're like, man, why do I still get nervous, bro? Like I still get sweaty palms. I'll get sweaty palms. I still feel like I gotta take a shit. Or
no, I've been there, man. I've partied at a Raider game with William Richter from Armageddon and Heat. Andrew Benarski, the guy who plays Leatherface in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacres. We partied on the top of Club Pure in Vegas. Like, it's crazy when you run into celebrities just by chance, dude. It's like I'm just like you. I'm like, oh fuck, bubble guts right away. You know what I mean? You're dying on the inside, but it's a pretty cool experience. I do have some pictures because after a couple of shots I do warm up to people. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool, man. It's one of the many perks of being in this nightlife and entertainment, dude.
Yeah, I definitely met some cool people. DJ Wifey, DJ Redeem, yourself. Jerry's Pizza has been an awesome one. I'll cut this one out. But Jerry's Pizza was kind of one of my hardest lessons in the industry, bro. I was working with someone, and I was kind of dependent on them with the Jerry gig, and they ended up like fucking up, bro. Like completely fucking up. And then I don't know what the dude's problem was, but I know she had gave us a budget, and then we had our budget. And so we were going to combine it to try to put on a good show.
Yeah.
And so I think we did 2 shows fairly good. I think the first 2 were really good. The third one was like kind of could have been better, but it paid for itself. It wasn't a problem. Well, we get to the 4th one, and the homie was supposed to do it. And I told him, hey, you book it, you do this. And he's like, yeah, I got it, because we were going to start switching up where he did so many and then I did so many, or we do every other, that we can clear the table. think I was like a month out from the show, and I was like, hey, like, you know, you're supposed to be working on this for like 2 months, you know, like, who did you book?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, man, I got some people. Don't worry about it. And I was like, well, I need to make some flyers. I need to let the owner know who's gonna be performing. The owner's asking me who's performing.
Yeah, straight up.
You know, so I'm like, you're kind of putting me in a weird spot. And he's like, no, I got it. And so we get down to like the last 3 weeks or something. I was like, hey, bro, come on, man. Like, who? Give me a name. I need to make a flyer. And so what I figured out pretty towards the end, it was one of two things: either sabotage, like just kind of trying to sabotage me.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's other politics of other stuff. But I I realized that it was either that or the person was trying to keep the money. And so I was like, I did not want to get to the point where he went to go get the money,
Mm-hmm.
or he collected and we didn't end up producing something. So I was like, I can't burn that bridge, you know? And so I actually went to Karina and I was like, hey, me and him, we're not putting on the show. I'm not working with this person. Um, you know, it's your choice what you want to do. If you want to continue with me, or if you just want to end it. But I don't feel comfortable working with this person in this situation, and I don't want to get into details about it. Just, you know? And so she was, I'm good. And so I was like, fuck. And it was a good deal, man. It was a good deal, and that guy, I think, just fucked it up. And I'm gonna cut it out, but
It's a damn shame. He got a little bit of time. Oh man, I just you know, it's a wild world out there. My industry, bartending life. I got a front row seat to the DJ life, or I should say the DJ beefs. You know what I mean?
The DJ's beefs, they get all territorial too,
bro. Like I get along with all of them, and they all, you know what I mean? They all bicker with each other. Just like how I told you about the comedians. I can't imagine the kind of festival they could have if they all worked together. You know what I mean? It's insane. We're in football season right now too, right? So I'm kind of feeling the same way about the Raiders. And we're doing shitty, I know.
Heartbreak.
But in Kern County, the Raider fan clubs, it is so political, bro. There's like 4 organizations.
I've heard about that.
None of them get along. And I'm like, dude, can you imagine the festival we would have if they all got along? It's insane out there.
Especially with Carr being from here.
Yeah.
It's just like, how could we not pull something off? And he's been very open. I mean, he works with the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
He's done promotions for some businesses and giveaways. And yeah, I've heard the booster clubs have been very territorial, very push back on each other. I've heard some history from like the older Raider fans when you got a couple drinks, you hang out, you start talking about stuff, and then I've heard that some of them were in the same booster clubs, and same thing. Why can't I want to be the guy? I want to be the main guy. I want to be in charge.
Yeah.
And so then they just or they're like, hey man, I got an idea for a charity, or something, a fundraiser, and they're like, we don't really don't have resources for that, but keep it on the back burner,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like offended by that. So they're like, then I'm just gonna go start my own fucking shit, and we'll focus on that charity. And I was like, well, I mean, you can't fight every fight. It's kind of like when I used to be in when I was in college, we had these clubs, political clubs, and I remember I joined Mecha, and this one guy was like, oh, we need to fight for this, and we need to fight that, and we got to include these people, and I was like, bro, we can't fight all these fights, bro.
No,
we need to pick a fight relevant to our school,
mm-hmm.
because we have Mechas all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So what's relevant to our community that we can work on, and if there is an action that's nationwide, then that takes communication between all the Mechas to have direction of what we're gonna do. But
first tier, baby steps, focus, boom.
But in their mind, it was just like you're whack, or you don't, or you sold out because you're not willing to help these individual people. And it's like, bro, we only got $500. We can't give it all to Ukraine. When we have the situation just happened here in Bakersfield. So it's just like those kind. It's like,
I hear you.
I kind of lost my train of thought on something I was gonna say. You said you're talking about knowing all the DJs and stuff. So how do they feud? Do they have like DJ battles when they're mad at each other, or are they fists?
I wish it was just a battle of DJs, talking with their hands and scratching and cutting, right? Unfortunately, it's not like that. For the past few years, I've watched them team up, get along, and the minute they're not in the same room, they're talking about each other. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, most of them are great people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think in their line of work, they all feel like they're the top dog, the best beat blender, the best scratcher. I play the best music. I have the most followers. It's like that. It's like, and I'm just like, dude, and I'll see a couple of them try to be the peacemakers. We had a couple of DJs that all teamed up for a Sunday night at McMurphy's, like the last 3 or 4 Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunday night is the only night where we don't pay for a musical act, bro. So they're there on their own time, just
Promoting themselves.
yeah, and seshing together. And we definitely need more of that. I'm not a DJ, so I can only speak on it so much, but being a fan of music and seeing all this for so many years, I'm just like, dude, like the egos, you guys got to stop. None of us are in Los Angeles or New York. This is Kern County. There's very few of us compared to the rest of the world. Let's all get along, make it happen, and fucking stack some chips and make some art and some music together. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Well, like I've said about the comedy thing, and I've told other people too. It's like, because I know people coming up with comedy here, they'll tell me like, dude, the older comics are like weird, and like I don't understand this territorial stuff. And I explained to them, it's like, dude, this is everywhere. Like, it's not Kern County. This is everywhere. The only thing that I am disgruntled about or bummed out about this whole situation is that because we're such a growing scene, that we can put the structure there for that. It could be supportive, and we don't have to be like that. Well, from what I've heard from LA comics, that I guess having Joe Rogan be so on top of the world kind of helped with him like mediating a lot of problems between comedians and kind of nobody really wanted to fuck with him or like talk back to him, so they were just kind of like, all right, he wants me to squash it, I'll squash it, because not only do now I know Joe Rogan, you know, now Joe Rogan's cool with me, you know, so I'd rather be on his good side, and so at least that's how people tell us.
Yeah, no shit.
And so once he moved to Texas, it was like taking the head off the mafia. You know, and now everybody wants to be the one in charge, and so now everybody's fighting and trying to get territory, and I own that show and I own that shift, and
I believe it.
It's like this thing is getting pretty wild out there right now.
Yeah.
All the veterans are kind of just like, damn, we didn't realize the structure that he had put there. So maybe that's something we need here. We need a person on top who by their own, you know, by their own ability, right? You can't just like, I'm not keen where you appoint him or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that, but definitely someone who makes it and does have that structure there, or even like the Well and the Laughing Stock, all those places.
I'm gonna keep it real. I wish we had a commission, like the good old fashioned mob, where we sit at a table, you know, and there's no leader, but we all agree in majority. I mean, it's not gonna happen, but in a perfect world, it would.
Yeah.
But I just have a front row ticket to all of that stuff at night, and I see it, and I'm just like, man, this, you know what I mean? We could be so much better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Honestly,
I think a lot of it sometimes is just people, or maybe they don't have anything to lose, and so they have this mentality of being so negative, and like I said, having that front row seat myself. I think my perspective is a little different in that I'm not really reliant on it. You know, to me, I don't really care if I become a famous comedian. I just want to be better at it and make people laugh. How much I make from it, I really don't care. I don't mind having a 9 to 5.
Right on.
You know, it's just like, I think if people thought, oh, banning me from comedy would somehow deter me from doing comedy, it's like, no, I'll just go do it somewhere else. You know, and then it's like, and if it's for money or if it's regarding money, I have a 9 to 5, and you know, I'll just not go out every weekend. I won't go to your bar and spend a bunch of money on drinks watching these other comedians until it's my turn. I'll just save that money, and I'll save myself for a trip to go to Vegas and do a show with someone more popular than anybody I'll ever meet
fucking
here. Or I'll go to LA and you know, sneak my way into fucking Netflix as a joke. You know, I'm gonna live my fucking life. You know, it's like, you know, I gotta go all the way across town and do a podcast. Like, fuck, you know what? I'll just make one in my own home.
There you go.
You know, you know, art. You know, I got into art lately. I didn't just go like, oh, I want to be a part of the art community and go to art people. You know, I just, you know, I through comedy, I met a cool person. I stayed in contact with that person. We continued to talk, and then one day, I found out after inviting him to my comedy show that they started, we had a conversation. We were talking about philosophy. It was when I had a show called Philosophy Kings.
Yeah.
And I interviewed an artist named Brandon, and he went on my show. We talked a little bit, and then we stayed in communication. And one day we were hanging out, and we were talking about philosophy, and I was telling him what I liked about philosophy, and kind of the attributes of people who like philosophy, and how I like those people as friends.
Yeah.
And so we started talking, and I started telling him about this philosopher who had quit his job, and convinced all his friends to quit their jobs.
Oh, shit.
And they started like a commune, and they were it was Epicurus, and he was trying to find the purpose of life and the meaning of life, and through, learning about people and himself. And so him and his friends, what they found out was that if they all specialized in something and could sell whatever they made, they wouldn't be as rich as they would in their regular jobs, but they would be much happier. And because they were in a community, they would make sure that they all had food and make sure that they were all good and they all got to do what they wanted.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was hiccups here and there, but they figured it out. They all had the agenda that whatever it is, we're gonna figure it out. We're not gonna like start a mob and try who. No, I'm in charge of the commune. I'll start my own commune. They were consistent with what they wanted, and so I started talking to him about that, and I told him, I and myself, what I've noticed is that I'm a jack of all trades. I get into shit to the point where I gain what I want from it, and then I just kind of leave it and I start learning other stuff. And so I was telling him I would love to one day have a property where my friends could just come over, hang out whenever they wanted,
Yeah.
Or it'd be like maybe Saturday nights we all hang out, and we got a DJ over here, we got a bartender over here, we got a person painting over here, we got someone singing over here, and we got people doing writing sessions and comedy sessions. Like, we're just all fucking having a good time, being creative, I would love to have a place like that.
I'm waiting for it.
Because it's the opposite of what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
All these people, right? They're all just dog eat dog and sabotage and shit. And it's like, nah, let's make it the other way. So this guy starts an art class for free. So him and his wife are artists here in Bakersfield. Deidre and Brandon.
Okay.
And they open up their house, like literally their house, bro. Like, you go to their house and you can hang out in their living room, you can hang out in their kitchen, you can hang out in the backyard, and just painting. They do. Brandon does more like graffiti, and the wife does more like acrylics, doing like like dots and a lot of color and shapes and things like that.
Yeah.
Very, very abstract paintings. And they open it up to everybody, and so I was like, "Fuck, that's badass." That's kind of like what I wanted to do. So I didn't go and do reconnaissance or go there and figure out how I can do my own thing. I just go like, "Hey, this guy beat me to the punch." Instead of trying to start my own thing or wasting all this energy to even start it, I'll just dump my energy on theirs.
Yeah.
And so then I just would go every week. I'd help them go set up, donate money, fucking share it online, encourage friends that I knew who had kids. And like, hey, man, they have art class here. Want to take your kid on a Saturday? Every other Saturday, you can take your kid learn a different art, give them something to do. And so I did it that way. And through doing that and that different approach, they've asked me to do murals with them. They've even given me jobs where they're like, hey, like, we need help with this. Like, I'm like, no, I got a 9 to 5 and shit. Like, I can help you like in the morning. I can help you at night, maybe on the weekend or like on a holiday. They're like, no, we'll pay you. Come on this time. I was like, oh shit, you ain't gotta pay me, but they do. And so it's like, all right, like, so it's just that different approach. Is like, it might not feel in the front like, oh, like, am I being used? Am I being taken advantage of? Am I just giving myself for free? Is it gonna pay off? But it's like, I'd rather take the risk of that than continue this shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, it could just be so fun around here. But I don't know, maybe that's just an ideal world, or is it just maturity, or is it the right thing and other people are just so wrong?
Well, I mean, from my experience, I mean, we have a lot going on here. A lot of potential, a lot of good times. I see a lot of good concerts are coming through here now. You know what I mean? And I always feel like there's always room for progression, more room for growth. But above all that, there's a whole lot of room for all of us to get along. You know what I mean? Bakersfield's growing, but we're still a small community compared to the rest of the world. And, I love where I'm from. I love my people. And I just wanted to see everybody fucking eating good off that same plate, man. In this nightlife. Comedians, musicians, you name it. Shoot.
Is there people like to eat after they drink. What is your spot?
My spot.
Yeah.
After I eat.
After you drink.
After I drink.
Yeah. So if you like with your friends, you had a couple beers, like where do you guys go to eat? What would you recommend people go to get like those late night munchies out of?
Well, if it's late night, I'm gonna go to La Villa because I'm sick of Taco Bell. You know what I mean? But if I could pick anywhere to eat, it's gonna be Jerry's Pizza for pizza, Panchitos for Mexican food, and McMurphy's for wings because our wings are the fucking best in town.
It's so hard to find wings, bro.
Yeah. Go on down and try our mango habanero, bro. You won't be disappointed.
Like Rusty's Pizza's right next to me, so I usually, if I'm gonna make a run, I'll go there.
Rusty's is fire.
But their wings suck.
Do they?
Oh, I don't like their wings. Their wings are always like their wings. Their wings are like if someone put the wings in those hydrators.
Yeah.
And then they just put hot sauce on it and hand it to you,
shit.
and you're trying to eat it, but there's like, when am I gonna get like? It's just, it feels like all skin and shit. Like it doesn't feel like there's no meat in the motherfucker. It's just solid.
Yeah, after I'm drunk, bro, I need a good slice of pizza or fucking hot wings.
I haven't tried the hot wings. So I'll have to stop and get some there. Or even at night, I would just tell my girl like, "Hey, can we Uber wings from like Murphy's food?"
We don't have Uber Eats. Unfortunately, we're a dive bar, but we do have sports bar food if you do walk in.
Well, there you go. There's an idea for the owner, man. He's like, hey, man, you're looking for some different revenue. Like, apparently people need wings in our community because there are no wings on this side of town.
Wow.
Nowhere. The closest you're going to get to wings, if it's not downtown somewhere, which I haven't tried all the spots, but as far as all these places here, they don't have wings. They advertise their wings. The closest you're going to get is Callaway. And you're going to have to go to Rallies.
Rallies.
To get
all the way
wings.
up there. Okay, yeah. Checkers.
Yeah, Checkers.
Yeah.
Checkers.
Old school place.
That's the closest place I've found that has decent wings around here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try out McMurphy's.
Yeah, try them out, man. They're dope.
You have a signature drink that I think I've come across. You might have more, but the one that I've always loved is your Michelada.
That's what, truth be told, that's what kind of got me recognized back in the day, was when I started making micheladas. You know, everybody's is kind of similar. You know, different bartenders did show me different ingredients in the beginning. Shout out to Alma and Monica.
Speaking of that, I think one of your workers. I was like, I don't know how he makes them. And she goes, "Oh, here," and she just wrote it down for me. I have it somewhere.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, I mean Murphy's here.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was like, because that was
Timothy's ingredients. Let me see, Clamato. But this is pretty cool that you have this. This is a classified G14 information, bro.
So
that's awesome. Someone's been paying attention when I make them. This is so dope.
So that situation. So I think I think it was one of those days where I was looking for you to get one.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to find you, and you're like, "Oh, I'm here at Murphy's." So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So I think me and my girl went, and we got a couple of them, and then went home. Whatever. Again, we were trying to get faded. We were just like, "Hey, Clamato would fucking be good right now," you know. And I was like, and I know the guy for Clamato, so let's see if he's working. And so I think that was the situation, and we went back. I think it was maybe even the next day or 2 days later. We're like, "Hey, let's go get another one." And she was like, "Yeah, let's go do it." So we get there, you're not there.
Oh shit.
And so I think I reached out to you, but I don't think I got a message back at the time. So I went there, I sat down, and then we ordered it from the girl. She goes, "Oh, I can make one." And we're like, but I like how Tim makes them. And she goes, "I can make them." And I was like, "All right." So she makes it, but it was still good though. But it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe some of it is just the nostalgia or the thought of, you know, they just like, that's from Tim. You know, he's a cool guy. Remember, they plays a part, right? The bartender plays a part.
This is definitely a first for me.
And so
this is awesome.
And so I tell her, or me and my girlfriend, you know, they starts talking to her, starts telling her like, "Yeah, we just came here from Micheladas. We like the Micheladas he makes." And she's like, "Oh," we're like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why don't you guys make them at home?" And I'm like, I don't think a bartender should be telling us to drink at home. Like, so I'm kind of laughing to myself a little bit, you know? And so my girl was like, "Well, we don't know how to make them." She goes, "Oh." So she just writes it down and gives it to us. And I was like, and me and my girl both looked at each other. We're like, that kind of took away the magic. We have not made them at home.
Oh,
we still, if we crave them, we'll be like, "Oh, let's go to McMurphy's or something."
I mean, I got a lot of time off coming up, but when I'm at the bar, man, just I'll message you and you come by and have one. I'm getting married in 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah, getting married. Flying to Nashville to get married, bro.
So that was your bachelor? It was your bachelor party?
It was co-ed.
Co-ed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was gonna be like a bachelorette party, but then my best man, the maid of honor is his wife. So they were like, you know what, we're gonna have a one together. You know what I mean? And which is cool with me. You know what I mean? I wasn't really expecting anything or anything like that. But we had a big old party this past weekend, and dude, I barely started recovering this morning. It was crazy.
Why are we over there? Is that her family's up there?
No,
family?
my fiance is big into country music.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna do a downtown rock and roll wedding here in B Town, but while we were engaged and this whole economy changed on us, everything started getting super expensive, bro. And so while we were crunching the numbers, I kind of threw it at her. I was like, we could always elope, She gave me that look that females give you when, you don't want to give them the big wedding. She was like, I let her sit on it for a couple days. She got back to me. You know how women like to do it. They like to do it over a text, not face to face.
I didn't get breakfast for a few days.
Yeah.
Had some time to think.
Yeah. And she's like, do you want to get married in Nashville? Because we were already deciding to honeymoon in Nashville. Because she loves country music. She's always wanted to go there. And so when she texted me that, she's like, do you want to get married in Nashville? I was like, yes. Hell yeah. 'Cause as a guy, tightwad ass, I'm going to save some fucking money. But I just responded to her. As a matter of fact, I called her. I was like, is that what you want to do, babe? All fucking put on my sweet voice. I'm like, yeah, we can do that. She's like, yeah. She's like, I've been looking it up. Actually, it's going to be so fun. Like, do you want to just get married in Nashville? I was like, yeah, babe, we can do that. Hung up. I was like, fuck. I just saved like 8 to 10 G's.
So is there like a concert that you guys are gonna check out, or
we do have an itinerary. There's a lot of stuff out there. The Grand Ole Opry, Graceland's about 3 hours away. There's lots of stuff. There's even a bar out there named after the whole Bakersfield Sound outlaw country movement back in the 50s from here. Buck Owens and all that stuff. The bar is called Bakersfield. Right there on the strip in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's one of the places I'm going to be hitting.
That's fucking random.
Yeah.
I didn't know. That's
crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know either until we started looking stuff up. And country music, country artists like Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and that whole Dwight Yoakam, Streets of Bakersfield, that whole genre, they're a big deal out there. You know what I mean? They're a big deal out there in fucking Nashville. So
I think that's something for someone who's not from out here.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that history.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's promoted, but I think that's something that people forget sometimes.
I think we kind of take it for granted because we have the Crystal Palace and all that stuff that relates to Buck Owens and the whole country movement, but we're from here. So we don't kind of see it from the outside world, you know what I mean? But
I think from my perspective, I think moving here is just, I grew up in such a segregated area,
Yeah.
Whites, Mexicans, blacks, Asians, even the different types of Asians and different types of Hispanics and stuff, or Latin people, we're all really small groups all the time. And so when I came out here, I just kind of thought of country as like, oh, that's white music.
Yeah.
That's white people music.
I was the same way.
But then you meet people and you're like, nah, this is good times music. It's like any music. It's a representation of a good time to somebody. Even if it's trap music, it's someone's good time.
Country music was the last genre that I was interested in. It was barely maybe a couple years ago that I started listening to it more often because of my chick. And then I start listening to it and I'm like, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. But I started relating to a lot of it, and a lot of it's pretty fucking good. I was like, shit.
My girl listens to a lot of country, mostly because at work, they can only have certain stations.
Gotcha.
And so they, this freaking mosquito got in here.
Oh, shit.
What do you call it? So I started listening to that, but man, I've had some good times with some of the stuff that I thought was redneck shit.
Yeah.
My experience going to Crystal Palace was really cool. Like I thought I was gonna be like, oh, people are gonna be staring at me because I'm Mexican. Nah, people were like, you're not line dancing. Why you gonna jump in there? It's like, oh, okay. People were kind of welcoming here. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
I went to a Condors game. I watched ice hockey for the first time. So, I was there. I was in the front row. My girl got some tickets to work, and then some dude got smashed against that plexiglass like the first 10 seconds of the game, and I was like, I fucking loved it, bro. I was like,
hockey, watching it live is dope.
NASCAR. I went to the races out there by Taft.
Yeah.
And I thought this was gonna be like, who watches cars go in a circle? You know. I get there. It was so fucking loud, bro.
Yeah.
So entertaining. The cars.
Yeah. It's loud as fuck.
The vibrations and the cement and all that shit. I was like, dude, this is fucking exciting. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Big old white titties everywhere.
Like, you must have went on Kevin Harvick night.
I was like, damn, fucking country's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They love all that shit. But I had a good time. And it's changed. Bakersfield changed me a lot in maturing, and then also being a little bit more open to trying different.
Right on, man.
Coming out here is where I've pushed my comedy. Yeah. I've pushed my art. I've pushed a lot of, like, myself, my career, all that stuff. Yeah. Right now I'm trying to find another one. I don't know. I'm trying to look for a part-time so I can keep doing this and the art until I can like shift over completely. Because I'm kind of at the point where, like, I think I'm gonna kick myself if I didn't try harder. You know, later.
Because you gotta rock and roll. You gotta give it 110%, no matter what it is.
I've been doing social work for the last 3 years, and oh man, I've just seen so many people with broken dreams, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
I've seen people with some broken dreams, and I was like, I can't do that to myself. Obviously the drugs, I'm not that person. I don't have any other criminal activities or anything that I need to worry about, but I definitely don't want to be like older and say like, you know, maybe I could have been further in my art or further in comedy had I just given it that one push. So last month or two I've been pushing this a little bit harder, and then hoping to get this podcast open, going,
get it popping off.
It's just really hanging out with people right now. Agenda's like people I know from comedy, people I know from different entertainment, business owners and artists. So I've interviewed a few artists, and they're all pretty much what you expect.
What episode is this?
So let me see, episode 5. Let's see, 5.
Chilling with Iceberg.
Yeah, chilling with Iceberg. So my audio ones go out first.
Yeah,
and those go out like pretty much as soon as I finish it. But as I'm working on the transitions and stuff, then I'll put them on Facebook, and they're scheduled out every Monday and Friday.
Gotcha.
So today, one should have came out. Episode 5 should have came out today. Who is comedian Titus?
Okay.
Odd guy. If you get to watch it, he's fucking weird. He's weird. He's weird, but he's entertainment. He's a comedian. He's just a different type of comedian.
Christopher Titus?
Oh no. His name is Titus Stevens.
Okay.
He has a show at Canoodle Studios, and he also has his own podcast from his home, and so he plays like characters. So
right
like, if you ever seen like some comedians like doing characters,
so he's good at voiceovers.
He does like voiceover stuff. Yeah. So he does movies. He's well known like as an extra in like pretty popular movies. He just did a movie. I'm escaping my mind right now, but he just recently did a movie for Netflix. The Upshaws. He was on the Upshaws. All that stuff. But he has a pimp, a preacher, a newscaster, and if you see the episode, he's talking to himself, bro, between these 3 characters for like 10 minutes straight. And I was like sitting here like, what the fuck? This was a little weird, bro. But he's entertaining, and we had a error because we started recording and I forgot to hit the record button, which I double check now. But,
right on, good stuff.
But so that would be episode 5, and episode 6 I'm still working on.
I caught a little bit of episode 2 with you had a chick on.
That was an artist. Her name's Julie. Yeah. And heads up to everybody, I'm learning all this stuff. Yeah. So for episode 1, I completely fucked up the audio. So if you listen at a regular tone, you won't hear this small buzz. But if you're like blasting your headset or your speakers, you're gonna hear the slight buzz at the bottom. It was a faulty wire.
Oh shit!
So I fixed that problem. Episode 2, I'm still getting better at.
Still a process, bro.
At syncing the lips with the sound.
Okay.
So when we're done, I have the audio, and then I have the video, and then I put them on my computer, and then I line them up, and then I start editing. Yeah. But at that time, I was getting better at that, and now I'm getting better at transitions, the intros, outros. And so every time I do a weekend of editing, I try to pick up a new skill. So the first one was just trying to get it all running. which I had my issues and I fixed it. Second one was trying to get the stuff synced a lot better. So by the fifth episode, I've gotten better at the syncing, the transitions of audio and scenes, the editing, everything. I've gotten faster. The only thing now is that I've been pretty clear with everybody, and this is gonna be my commitment to it is if anybody says anything that they did not mean to say or they overshared, I will edit it. Okay. Whether it be like, fuck, that was a good, I gotta get rid of it. Hey man, I'm not trying to have like I don't know what to say. I'm not trying to come up on somebody,
Yeah.
It's just,
I feel you.
It is what it is, man. It's just, and so I think that's kind of slowed down my process because lately I've been interviewing artists, and we've gone into certain discussions, and I think or they've overshared, and they told me like, hey, I need you to take this out.
Gotcha.
And so like I'm like, okay. So that's kind of slowed down the process. And then also, as you saw, I started doing the Halloween decorations on my home already. Way fucking early.
Super early. That's cool though.
Yeah, and it's like more than people probably want to expect for this early. Because was it September 26th? 26th today? Today's the 26th. And I have my porch decked out. And it's not even like a quarter done, bro. I still have to do all the windows. I'm still going to put probably some more blood on some of the stuff out there. And then I still need to put
it looked dope. You have a fucking dead body hanging from your porch.
Body, bro.
That was awesome.
Oh yeah, everybody's like. And then I have a bunch of Ring cameras. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a time when I needed some security because they were fumigating this place.
Yeah.
And I went down this rabbit hole on YouTube where like people get their houses fumigated, and they break into them and steal all your shit.
Oh fuck.
And so we have insurance. But I was like, I just don't want to deal with the insurance and having to recoup my shit. So I'm just going to buy some cameras. So I bought a bunch of Ring cameras from my house. And so I've noticed that when people walk by my house, like they're like talking about the decorations and shit. So I've been listening to all the neighbors talking about the decorations. Some of them I'm like, they fucking know this shit's recording, bro. Because one lady walked by, she walked by and her kid's like, Mom, look what he did this time. He did this.
Yeah.
And she goes, she didn't really look too enthusiastic about it, but she turned over and she was like, yeah, they should win an award for how creative they are. And then she walked away. They walked away, and I was like, she knew that shit was recorded.
She knows there's fucking cameras right there.
She knows. She's like me going into that back room at the fucking well and shit. Like, I know there's some fucking cameras in this.
Straight up.
Okay. Is there so what's coming up with you? Are you venturing outside of what you're doing now? Because I know you do your services for the bars for weddings and all that.
Yeah, I'm back doing a private events for the holidays. The holidays get kind of busy in November and December. I took October off from doing all that because when I get back from Nashville in a couple of weeks, immediately we're gonna have more dinners, receptions, and all that stuff. I have a lot of private stuff going on, but until then, you can catch me every Taco Tuesday at McMurphy's. You can catch me every Saturday and Sunday night at McMurphy's, and you can catch me every Friday night at Club Noriega's on Stockdale Highway. That's where you can catch me, bro.
Have you ever considered opening up a bar?
I have. When I get older, I kind of don't want to be the guy with the gray beard still trying to serve drinks to 25-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I have thought about that. But at the same time, I like staying in my lane without any of the hiccups. You know what I mean? As far as being a bar owner.
Yeah.
I've seen all that, and there's a lot of hiccups and a lot of stuff that goes into it, and it looks a little bit more on the stressful side some of the time. And for me, I think what's kept me going is I just stay in my lane, bro. Do my private gigs, do my bar jobs. I'm really attentive in my approach and my customer service and dealing with people. And why mess up a good thing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But there's always that guy who wants to tinker and improve something, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was that home improvement guy? Was his name?
Oh yeah, Tim the Tool Man.
He's like, I could use more power.
Yeah. It is something. It is something that I have thought about when I do get older, because you don't want to be the older guy trying to be cool, even though I know I'm gonna be cool as fuck when I'm older.
You just mentioned something that makes me think, and so you talked about getting older, and the perspective and your lane. what is retirement like for someone who's committed to bartending? Like, is there a retirement plan? Are you putting into a 401k?
There is no 401. There is no 401k. I'm probably gonna have to sell crack and blow when I'm 60.
Shit.
You know what I mean? Just to get by. You know what I mean? No. I do have other things that I do. I was a forklift driver for a long time in Lebec. Like most guys from Bakersfield, I've also been in the oil fields. It's not a big deal. I lived the grocery life for so long while I was bartending at the same time. So there's always other things to fall back on. But drinks are my profession. You know what I mean? That's just where I'm at. I have tried to steer away from it, but when you love what you do, it never feels like work, brother. And I love what I do. Yeah.
What's your hangover recommendation? Mine is I learned from a friend who's a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and he recommends, I think it's vitamin B1,
Mm-hmm.
and a Gatorade. He says pretty much you're just dehydrated. You need to hydrate again.
Yeah, you need electrolytes.
And so then I came up with my own little concoction. And so what I do now is I will take like a vitamin,
Mm-hmm.
like a multivitamin or something, and then I will drink a Gatorade with a Pedialyte and a Monster mixed. And so I down that. I usually pass out right after. I wake up in a pool of sweat, and I'm like ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go again. And it's worked every time. I've given it to other people, and people told me it works. Because all it is, you're dehydrated.
Yeah. You're done. You're hungover as fuck. All dry mouth. I have never had Pedialyte. Not once. I know everybody drinks it to recover. A good old fashioned Gatorade is what I do drink. But my main thing, my go-to when I'm hungover, I twist one up, and I have the spiciest bowl of pozole, like, known to mankind. Like, it's got to be spicy. I throw extra jalapenos on top, and it clears you right up. You sweat it all out while you're eating it, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's always worked for me.
I've recommended that for people who, when they tell me they're sick,
Yeah.
and their nose is all congested,
Mm-hmm.
that has been my go-to. I
Yeah.
would get like a ramen cup,
Mm-hmm.
put a bunch of chile in it. Like
Yeah.
too much chili, like
Yeah.
to the point where I know I don't even want to eat that much.
For real.
And I just keep eating it and down it, and you just sweat. You push yourself through it.
Yep.
When you're done with that cup, you've sweated out all that shit. Your
Fuck yeah.
nose has ran. If you have an Atron booger, you definitely need to go blow your nose because that shit's running out.
Yeah, I just did it yesterday. I had the spiciest fucking bowl of pozole yesterday, and I felt right as rain right after that. I was like, cool, now I can go to sleep and wake up and be ready for Monday. And then after done, I was like, oh shit, I'm on Chilling with Iceberg tomorrow. So that's when I started messaging you, because I started looking at my calendar, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I
Now
usually
I-
message everybody like the night before.
Yeah, I was like, now I know I got to get right. Shit.
Pedialyte, I became a fan of it because of the Sweatos when I lived in Mexico.
Yeah.
We drink Sweatos a lot because it was just so hot. Sometimes you just didn't want to, like, you wanted a soda, but you didn't want a soda, and you wanted water, but you didn't want a water. So it's like, what's the best thing in between would be like a Pedialyte. And so that's why I drink now, even when I'm at work. I know I'm sure that didn't help my situation at work sometimes with some people, because I'd come into work and I'd have a Pedialyte in my hand, and I'd just be drinking the Pedialyte, talking to people. And so I think people were like, "This fool hung," because I had like two people ask me like, "You hungover?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No." They're like, they look at it. I was like, "Oh no," I was like, "I just didn't want a soda." You know, I wanted something sugary, like tasted sugary,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to get a soda. And it's because I get, I don't know, it makes me kind of sweaty sometimes if I have soda.
I'm fucking
in the
addicted
heat.
to Pepsis, bro. I can't help it. Straight up.
I recently slowed down on it because I was
Yeah.
I was probably drinking like a 2 liter a day.
Damn.
And then I have no medical issues, and so I was like telling my girl, I was like, you know what, I've pushed it long enough.
Mhm.
It's gonna catch up to me
Yeah.
someday. And the last thing I need to do is just slump over because my kidney fucked up on me or something, you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna stop. So I've the alcohol definitely. I mean, I got what's practically a 30 pack of Coronas in my fridge since 4th of July.
No shit.
Yeah, I think I drank like 2 of them.
That's good, man.
I bought this 30 pack. Like, yeah, I'm gonna drink with my nephew. I drank 2 of them and I was good. I was like, I once I had a meal, I got all sleepy and shit. So that's been sitting there. So yeah, that's the only ones that the only time I drink a Pedialyte is like if I don't want to have a soda and I don't really feel like drinking water. Recently, I started drinking mineral water. I don't know if you have you ever tried mineral
I
water?
just drink fucking regular water from Winco.
I bought some.
Gets the job done.
Got any other any other questions for me? And then we'll wrap up.
No, just let me say, in closing, bro, it was, thank you for having me on, and I'm looking forward to the podcast taking off. This is Timothy in the Place to Be, aka Tim the Bartender. You can catch me every Tuesday at McMurphy's, every Friday at Noriega's, and every Saturday and Sunday at McMurphy's Irish Pub. This is Chilling with Iceberg. Keeping it live. I wish it was episode 5, but we keeping it straight on episode 8. One love, baby.